Welcome, everyone, to the Recovery Unfiltered with Nick and Will podcast.
My name is Nick Mansozi.
And I'm Will Cashman, and we are live from the ARC Recovery Fest right here at 834 Grant Street. That's in Akron. Woo! Woo! And it is a great day out
AK
here.
Rowdy.
Yeah.
That's right. So we have an exciting guest today. His name is James Osborn, and he's a peer supporter with ARC Recovery Services. We're very happy to have you join us today.
Happy to be here.
Yes,
Thank you, guys.
Grateful to have you here. So we've got a question for you. Who the heck are you?
Well, my name's James Osborn. I am not only a certified peer recovery supporter, but a part of that is that I'm a person with lived experience in recovery. I've been in recovery for over 8 years. I celebrated 8 years on July 13th, roughly a month ago. And it's been a long and hard journey. But this life is a lot easier, and the blessings are immaculate. As a person in recovery and a peer supporter, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, and it's definitely worth it. I'm from the Cleveland area originally.
See, John?
It was different when I came down here. I had gotten clean one time in Cleveland. I was involved in a 12-step fellowship. I did kind of a surface level recovery. I got the job back. My family trusted me again. My friends trusted me again. Then I had 2 jobs and some money in my pocket. And, unfortunately, relapse is a part of my story. I relapsed. I was using again for 6 months. That was deeper and darker than anything I've been through when I had a head full of recovery, a heart full of my higher power, but I still had drugs in my body. Thankfully, I was able to be rescued from that. And the only way I've ever been able to find clean time is through a power greater than myself. And I'm talking about a sheriff or someone literally locking me away from the drugs.
That's right.
So I can't use them. But that was an immense blessing. I got some clarity. I got involved with the fellowships that were in the jail, and I made a decision to come to Akron, to a treatment center. And I had some, and there were some roadblocks, and maybe we'll talk about the roadblocks to getting into detox or getting into the treatment center that you want to get in. But when I was in that jail, there was one person who believed in me, wanted to help me in my recovery there, a caseworker. And, I was resigned to actually go to a place. I was in the Cleveland area. I was in Geauga County Jail, and I was resigned to just go to this place in Cleveland because it was so hard to get to the treatment center I wanted to come to down here. But this person who worked in recovery, as I'm able to do today, she didn't want to give up, and she wanted me to be in the place where I had the best chance for success. So she was able to facilitate me coming to a treatment center right here on Grant Street. It's no longer here anymore, but and there, like I said, there's always room for improvement in the recovery field. But I had the willingness to change. And through that place saved my life. And that's where I got involved with Community Christ Church, ARC Recovery Services. I got involved with these people here, and they've been a cornerstone of my recovery from day one up until today. So I'm really grateful for this place. I'm grateful for this event. It's something that I enjoyed early in my recovery as a guy just walking down here from the treatment center. I was able to enjoy all this stuff, and now I'm able to be a part of it and give back. But I'm sweating. I'm running in a million different directions.
We're all over the
Clean
place
time
today.
countdown. You know what I mean? We do some music, some rap music. So, but it's a blessing to give back, and it's gratitude in motion. So thank you guys for having me here. This is the icing on a cake. After this, I'm going to go to the food truck. So,
That's right.
but I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely, man.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So, James, you are a peer support, right?
Correct.
ARC Recovery Services?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of different roles within the recovery structure, within a treatment center, within any recovery service. But peer support allows us to kind of get really connected with our peers and kind of understand people from an even deeper level as a peer. What does that look like for you at ARC Recovery Services?
Peer support it's a very important role, and sometimes the lines get blurred with it of what exactly it is. But the best way that I've been able to practice this profession and practice boundaries is I'm just there to walk beside the client with whatever they're going through. I'm not there to be their sponsor in a 12-step sense. I'm not there to give them suggestions even. I can give them my lived experience of what I've been through and walk beside them in their recovery. And that can be recovery related, that can be family related. It's funny the way that the universe works out. I had kind of a Maury Povich situation when my son was conceived, and my son has been one of the biggest blessings in my life, probably the biggest blessing, in my recovery. And I find myself time after time as a peer supporter working with guys that are kind of in that same position, and I'm able to sit down with them and just say, not give advice or give suggestions, but say, this is what, and not overshare either, but this is what happened when I was in this position. This is what people told me. This is what I decided to do. And this is where I'm at today. And it can be something deep like that about fatherhood or recovery, or sometimes it's walking beside a guy just to get his driver's license, for the first time, or for the first time in many years, or just to, go get some groceries and get an EBT card, kind of get assimilated back to normal life. Cause I know when I came in recovery, regular everyday life was kind of foreign to me by that point. So it's good to help people get back into the flow. So,
I kind of like the way that I've described it throughout my journey is letting that leash loose just a little bit more. You're in like the halfway house, and then you're like tight on that. And you go to the 3/4 house, say okay, a little bit, and then a little bit more when you go, and then a little bit more, and then you're released, and you're like, okay, I've been given the tools to handle.
On your own.
I've been given the tools to handle at least what's coming. Now the rest is up to me and my sponsor and my husband.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Where we at?
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, roll with it, Nick.
All right. So, like you said, you're credentialed as a
certified peer recovery supporter, and that's that's an evolving thing too. But yeah.
So each of those roles give you a different perspective on individuals, right? So, like families and the recovery process. So, I guess how? Well, wait.
Yeah. At a bike.
Remember, we're going live, people.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I guess how do those different perspectives shape the way that you approach your work and support the people who can come through?
So yeah, it's kind of it's with peer support. So I have a perspective because I was I work with guys primarily in recovery housing. I do work with some community clients as well. But like I said, it's about that lived experience. I went to recovery housing, and you mentioned that leash. That was the story of my recovery. I was from a jail, going to church service in jail, H&I, what have you, to now I'm in a treatment center. Then after 30 days, I'm allowed to roam around and go to meetings and come to places like this. And then after that, I go to a recovery house. Like you said, it just you get more and more freedom, but you also get more and more responsibilities. So a lot of the things that these guys, I would, some days, and I get stressed out with my job and everything. I would, it's almost like, man, I'm envious of just being in the treatment center. I wonder what meeting we're going to today and who's going to be there, when all this stuff happens. But with that being said, a lot of the stuff that these guys go through, I've been through it before. I have the lived experience, not only on their end, but I have the lived experience of working in recovery. So I can understand the organization side of it, why things have to be a certain way. You see certain places are run different, and sometimes the results are different. So I try to explain things from the perspective, not only of the company I represent, the company I work for, but of the men that I'm walking beside, and I've been in their position. So I think I have kind of a twofold perspective. And you do run into clients that are going through something maybe that I've never been through or that I've never experienced. But in my journey, I usually know the right person for them to talk to, or we have someone on staff who's been through what they've been through, and that can give with them and walk beside them. And hopefully give us some clarity.
Yeah. Well, there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Out with the
That's right.
life experience that you have, plus where you work, you have all those different ways to get them to where they need to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So help typically happens during the most vulnerable moment. Okay. At least I think it does. Some of us know it as the moment of desperation when we finally just say, like, okay, I've had enough. What's next? Something's got to give. So when people, when someone that is struggling first contacts ARC Recovery Services, what do you hope that initial contact looks like?
It varies, and I'm not always the person who gets the first contact with them when they call in, but usually we try to do something that's called a pre-screen. You know, the office staff's really great with that, and try to figure, and it kind of ties into kind of what I just said. Our hope is to either get this person into our program, and sometimes there's certain, like I said, every program is ran different, and we will do a pre-screen, and maybe this isn't the right program for that person. But if you look at all the resources here, I think we have over 60 or 70 resources here. Many of them treatment centers and recovery houses. So we know people in the community, and the more that we can work together with other organizations and build each other up, the more we can. If a guy maybe isn't suited for this house, it's faith-based, there's different aspects. But we know we can hopefully give that person a resource. It's nice when it's us. We love helping people and walking beside them for the whole journey, but it's also nice when it's someone else that can really give them what they need and kind of restore them back. So that's really, I'd say the main thing is to help this person find recovery and whatever that looks like for them and whatever the best fit is for that individual.
Love that.
So, yeah.
That kind of puts the agency back into their hands.
Yeah.
It makes it their choice. And they're not forced. If I would have been forced to do something, then no. I mean,
Right.
other than the judge, honestly,
Yeah.
like the judge finally forced me, but
I'm still like that.
yeah,
Don't tell me to do something.
Yeah, I don't
No.
always play by the rules either. But,
that's right.
Yeah.
But I love that the agency is there. And then there's also, it sounds like that warm handoff.
Yeah.
If we can't do
Exactly.
it, then someone else might be able to help. And you guys kind of navigate that as well.
Yeah. And there's some individuals that maybe don't need recovery housing, but maybe they benefit from IOP or just meeting a peer supporter or a CDCA, and we try to guide people through that as best we can. And it's similar from, that's kind of when a person first calls in, and that's not something I always deal with. But when I meet a peer for the first time, it's really focused on what are your goals? What do you want out of recovery? And you get some guys like, I didn't want recovery the first 60 times that it was offered to me. And not until I had that gift of desperation, that moment of desperation. So sometimes the client may not want recovery, but they may want to get a driver's license. They may want to, make their life a little more manageable. So when I first meet someone, it's what do you want recovery? What do you want out of recovery? And regardless of the answer to either one of those first two questions, what do you want out of this relationship with me, this peer support relationship? And what can we do to, further your life that you're better? Because if it's that situation, usually that person doesn't want to meet with me for the rest of their life. So I try to come up with a game plan that when I stop, when the peer support relationship has ended, I hope that this person's in a better place than when it began. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's powerful, dude.
So I kind of just have a side question on that. So like when someone comes in that, like when you ask them that question, and you just kind of go, I don't know, but how do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's, we have some really good office staff here. So they come up with something called a wellness plan and like different things to go through. So sometimes it's just about engaging the person's wellness and just, hey, I tell guys, I'm involved with, typically if I'm involved with someone, not always, but they're involved either with the drug court or they're involved with recovery housing. So pretty much it's like, well, but you're gonna have to abstain at least during this process.
Right.
How can we make that happen and get you to successfully get through this? And then you'll always know where recovery's at, and the doors are always open.
Speaking of the staff, they do some of their best work when they feel, respected.
Yeah.
So and supported and safe enough and to communicate honestly. That kind of environment requires intentional leadership. So the question for me that I have is, what does a healthy trauma-informed workplace culture look like within a recovery organization? And how do you help create that, North?
I try to create that at ARC by being, like I said, being an advocate for my clients while not enabling my clients. If something goes against the policy, if something isn't right,
No.
obviously I have to be honest with the other staff about that. I have to be honest with the client that that's just not going to work.
Right.
But I do need to advocate for them where I can, where it's justified. And, I have supervisors here that just like every peer is different, every peer supporter is different. And the way that I peer support somebody may be different than the way that you guys would do it, or vice versa. But I have a staff here that, recognizes some I do work another job outside of peer support. That's one limitation that I have.
Yeah.
But they recognize my limitations. They're able to support me with those, and they recognize my strengths, and they really put me in a position, not so much for me to succeed, but for the clients that I'm with to succeed. And then I succeed through their victories. So I think the staff has been really great, just recognizing who I am as an individual, who I am as a peer supporter, and what our job is to do. And I think when you're working in recovery housing, it's hard because sometimes you have to be that police role, even though I don't personally believe that's what peer support is about. But it is about accountability. So you kind of it's something I've found in the 2 or 3 years I've been doing this. I've been able to balance that better and better as time goes on. So
Good.
That's brilliant, dude. So working in recovery, and you also said you have another job as well.
yes.
So and I can relate to this because working in recovery, there's burnout is real. It can happen at any time. A lot of times it happens unexpectedly, but there are definitely signs. And we usually don't see them until someone else has pointed them out. So what do you do to avoid burnout in this field as a peer support aide?
That's $1 million question.
Yes.
I wish I had $1 million answer. But it's like I said, one thing that I do that helps, not necessarily anything that I do, but something that helps me avoid that is the supportive supervisor and the supportive staff here. That can allow me to, if I can't come in, or if I can't do something, I have people that would pick up the slack and that will help me there. It's a gift and a curse. My other job that I work is also, I work with, not everyone there's in recovery, but many are. And they're understanding, and they understand burnout, understand that we need some downtime here and there. So having an understanding supervisor, an understanding staff, that's the biggest thing, the blessing, because I'm the type of guy that'll just, I'll just run.
Yep.
But I have to have that balance between my work life, my family life. So I try to recognize it. And what I do is, it's okay, because I rarely get to do it, but it's okay to just lay on the couch and do nothing. And the family's asleep.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to be writing notes or writing, stuff for my other job. Because both jobs I work, unfortunately, is the gift and the curse of kind of making my own schedule, which helps, but it's never, my phone could ring at any time, or go off at any time for both of those. So that's a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
I think I'm able to thrive in it, and hopefully watch others thrive. So yeah, but that's I don't got a real solution, just my experience with that. So
That's brilliant, man. It's managing, being able to say, I need to take a break.
yeah,
I have to take a break. And most times when I tell myself that, I'm not going to listen. So a lot of times Daniel, who's been over there,
yeah,
Daniel is like, what'd you do for self-care today? Did you do anything
Right.
today? I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I was like, okay, no, you need to go do something. Take a break. And a lot of times my friends say the same thing. Or my sponsor says that too.
Yeah.
He goes, Will,
yeah.
you got to slow down. I was like, okay, man, sure, I'll try. Nick, I know you have a question regarding supporting family.
I do.
Yes.
So substance abuse disorder. Wow, there we go. Got it out.
Something like that. Substance use disorder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It affects not just the person, the entire family. So loved ones may experience, fear, anger, guilt, exhaustion, and confusion while trying to help someone that they care about. So as a peer supporter, what have you learned about what families need, and what guidance would you give family that doesn't know where to turn?
Mm.
That's another one that is tough, and there's not always a $1 million answer, but kind of like the same answer I gave of between housing and peer support, when to support, and then when to actually hold someone accountable. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to with the families. The addicts, and the people that suffer from the substance use disorder, they really do need their family support. but they don't need to be enabled. I found that could kill someone in early recovery to be enabled or stuff like that. I would just think, and for the families, and for the peers, I try to help them, not only guys that I peer support, but people that are in, same fellowship as me. I try to explain to people, your family's not going to forgive you overnight. And, like I said, I had 11 months clean when I did suffer relapse. And I thought, oh, my family trusts me. Life is great. I have a job, and I threw all that away a lot quicker than I built it up. So people have to understand that it is a process. Take your time. I know, and not everyone's 12-step, but there's a part about that about amends. I think amends are better to be done once you have a year or two in recovery, and you're, at least in my experience, when I was able to make amends to my parents, and they were able to believe those amends, because of the recovery time that I had. So yeah, it's a delicate topic, and the families, and that could be someone's parents, someone's children, someone's brother, sister. We hurt these people when we're out there. So we have to be understanding of them. And I can only hope, that if I'm interested, it's a HIPAA thing. So if someone's going to share with their family and be okay with them knowing that I'm their peer supporter, that's already a step in the right direction. That person's already interested and supportive of the recovery process that their family members going through. And I guess, that would be my advice. Get educated on it. You see it. I mean, I've seen it in my real life, and you can watch this. I mean, it's one of my favorite shows. I'll bring it here. The Sopranos, Chris is in recovery. He's addicted to heroin, and his coworkers, they want him to stop. They desperately want him to stop doing heroin, but they keep pushing alcohol and other things on him. So just get educated on what recovery looks like for your family member and what that entails, and what that process is, and respect it. You may not agree with it, with the belief system or whatever that's involved, but if it's going to save someone's life, please respect it. That would be my biggest thing. So without going off on a tangent about Chris Maltasanti or there's a lesson to be learned there.
That's sure. Right. You are incredibly knowledgeable.
Yes,
I like that.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah,
you are, and I like that you have that foundational knowledge for what you do. That's important to have.
Yes,
we can't just go flying by the seat of our pants on
right.
Taking care of another person's life. I mean, they have the responsibility for themselves. We are simply guidance in that, but we can't give them unknowledge, not evidence-based knowledge behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have to know what we're doing. So I love that you have this knowledge and you are very foundational in it. There, just use it again. Foundational. You are foundational, James.
Well, you guys have the knowledge of the great questions. So I've been just giving me something good to work with.
It.
Yeah. So
that's right. You want to take that one?
Sure.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, even when strong programs and dedicated professionals are available, people can still face barriers to housing, transportation, insurance, treatment access, and continuity of care. So where do you see the greatest gaps in recovery services, and what changes would be the biggest difference for you?
There is a lot of gaps, and yes, there needs to be changes made, but I think a part of that can be, there's too much change, too rapidly. Like I said, even the certification of CPRS that I have, that may change to a different name. It may change to a different thing that we need to go through. Not to get political, but the big beautiful bill or whatever they called it, that affected us, and that really, really took away a lot of resources and really harmed a lot of people with substance use disorder. And hopefully that can change and that can turn around. Like I said, I'm not. My only opinion is that there needs to be more support and more help for people that are seeking recovery. We don't need to take those things away. We need to add to those things. So there's tons of gaps with housing. Like I said, so it's a grateful thing that if someone isn't a good fit here, we can usually find a place where they are. But there's some people that may be hard to fit in anywhere, to where it's still there could be someone that could come into a program or treatment center and be very disruptive to other people's recovery because of mental health issues or other things. And obviously that person at a certain point would be removed, but where does that person go to find recovery? Where does that person go to find wellness? That's where I see a lot of gaps. I see there's been times where, we're all human on this side of it as professionals in the recovery field. And most of us, if not, many of us are in recovery. And we go through our own trials and tribulations. And I know, a lot of organizations are short staffed right now, and there's not someone to step into that gap. So I think the more funding and the better that we could fund these programs and fund these professionals, it would fill in a lot of those gaps, and it would, I'd really like to see more mental health based peer support as well. There is more of it now, but that number could still be greatly improved as well. So, yeah. So, like I said, you guys are giving me some hard ones. I don't have all the solutions, but these are things that need to be discussed.
Yeah. Right.
And that really, people need to really start looking at, for the good of our community here. It's great that something like this can happen and everyone can come together and everybody's welcome here, in recovery or out of recovery or otherwise. But that's not always what day-to-day life looks like. And it's not always what it looks like for a person with substance use disorder.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of break those barriers, I think. So
100%, man.
Sorry. Well,
No, go for it, please.
One thing I will say is, when I was in treatment, I didn't know what a peer supporter was. And I'm not dissing my peer support whatsoever.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I don't think I ever met the person. I got a phone call maybe once every couple of months just to see if I was still alive, basically.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, were you?
Yeah. Jeez.
But I mean, thank God I had the support that I had and the family that I had. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
For real.
Because I knew nothing about recovery or about treatment centers. This was my first time going through a treatment center period. So I had no idea. And I was just like, who is this person?
Yeah.
And I wish I would have not had that, but at the same time, I'm glad you stuck with it. But thank you. I thank you for teaching so much about it.
Yeah. So thank you. And my experience, I had not the same experience, but a similar experience when I was in recovery housing. I was there for over 6 months, and I didn't know, I got into a pretty rigid, 12-step fellowship and kind of stuck with that for a long time before I even had the open-mindedness to look into peer support and stuff. And once I did, I took the peer support trainings actually in this building, and I had, oh Lord. I had two really good, and I think a lot of it comes down to the training. I went in not totally, I mean, I was obviously open-minded because I was training to be a peer supporter, but I wasn't totally sold in. I wasn't totally bought into the idea. And I had, I will shout them out, Renard Packard and Packard and another guy from Cleveland named Craig. And they really, really broke down peer support to me and to my class. And I bought into it, and I think it's a great thing. And it was through that I realized I had peer supporters at my recovery house. I do remember them, and they did have a positive impact on me. I just didn't know that it was called peer support. Oh, and I didn't know exactly what was this person doing.
Well, then maybe it wasn't. I didn't know.
Hanging out. But yeah, so I was able to learn a lot, through opening my mind to to this field. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool. That's awesome.
So if there's anyone that's feeling trapped while they're listening to this, struggling, maybe just needs a message. What is the message? Maybe not only from ARC Recovery Services, but from James Osborn himself. Oh, did I just say your last? Yeah, we have.
It's all good.
Right. What would be a message of hope from?
My message of hope would just be to give yourself a chance and give yourself a break. It's hard to get clean, but theoretically, it's a lot easier to stay clean than it is to use and then get clean again. Those early days were very big struggle, but I would never want to go through that again. But I never have to go through that again. If I continue to make a choice, and if you make a choice today to get through the hard part, to tough it out, to seek help. It is available. If you could just go through a short time of struggle, the blessings and the gifts and the promise that will be fulfilled in your life is beyond your wildest dreams. My sponsor, he had me write down what did I want out of my recovery. And then like a year or so into my recovery, we revisited and he said, tear that up. You're selling yourself short. Because my life and the things that I've seen and done since being in recovery, I could never have imagined before. So please, that was long-winded, but to boil it down, give yourself a break and give yourself a chance. It's greater on this side.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's
Awesome.
mic drop. Yep. Don't drop the mic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We don't need to
fiddle around with this stuff.
James, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Awesome.
And again, Facebook, you're watching this right now. We are live from Arc Recovery Services.
Come on down.
Yeah.
It's still going. We hear them barking in the background.
Yep.
Something
You hear
fun's
'em.
going on.
We got lights rolling by. It's a good time down here. Okay, well, it looks like we're still live, but
Okay.
maybe we had a technical difficulty. We're going to find out. Our timer's still rolling, so that's a good thing. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. This has been technically episode 11.
Well, folks, that's unfortunately where our feed cut out. However, you have been listening to episode 11 of Recovery Unfiltered with Nick and Will. We had our wonderful guest, James Osborn, with us of Arc Recovery Services. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will be back around with another episode on Friday. Have a great day, everyone.